Hallo, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush aamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Begrijp Agele, ni hao, Judashume, Washmele, Ohio, Gonzaimis, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifahal, Halishama Chatore, Ahlan Wasal, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabiab, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and the watching world this morning on a very rainy morning over here in Islamabad. Ladies and gentlemen, with me I have the very fantastic, the very amazing Shiza Hashmi, and me, myself, Shazad Khan. Hello, Shiza. How are you today?
I am absolutely great, especially after the rain, but it's also sort of scary because, the thunderstorm, man, it's so loud. How are you today?
Well, I'm feeling not very great, and there's a
Aw.
reason for that. And I think that I was being very unreasonable last night, and it was because of the fact that since I was traveling the previous week, and so I thought that I should actually work out and whatnot. So I went to the gym for 2 hours,
Okay.
and then right after that I went to play basketball for 2 hours as well. And then when I got back home, I was really hungry.
Oh.
And the time when I got back home wasn't really the time when actually somebody could help me with my hunger. So
Okay.
what I had to do was opt for a little bit of munching. So what I did was that I had 2 chips packets, 1 biscuit packet.
For a person who has a routine and a workout and diet, what?
Yeah, and then I had a lot of milk, and then I had a lot of halwa and whatnot, and now it
Mashallah.
just feels a little upset over here. So yeah, other than that, I'm fine.
All
What
right,
about
all
you?
right, that's great. Now, I really hope you feel better though, because
Yeah.
you did ruin your routine, to look at that way.
And I'm feeling very guilty today.
Yeah, but Shazad, yesterday, unfortunately, some major parts of Pakistan had to experience an earthquake of 5.8 magnitude in general, and the epicenter itself was Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Mirpur, and Jhelum, a little bit of that.
Exactly.
And it was so scary to look at, because it was sort of a flashback of 2005 as well, because I happen to know a lot of family and friends who had migrated permanently from Muzaffarabad to Mirpur because of the loss that they had then, and now to go through almost, thank God, not the same magnitude, but almost similar situation again. I really felt bad for all of them, of course, and I was continuously praying that everyone is safe. But unfortunately, almost 22 people have lost their lives, and so many of them injured. So our heart goes out to all of them suffering through this, and our prayers go out to you as well. And one more thing, Shazad.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm having a gum, that's why I had to do that. But when you're looking at Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and if there was an earthquake over there, definitely some parts of the occupied Kashmir had felt that as well.
Exactly.
And to imagine that the people there right now are going through a communication blackout, no way to inform their, family members if they're okay or not, no way to, have access to medicines or
Yeah.
first aid even if needed. How scary is that?
Exactly, and even other than that, Shiza, just because we're actually talking about the earthquake as well and the jaws which everybody has felt, and thank you very much for bringing in the Indian occupied Kashmir. Imagine that, obviously this is very heart-reckoning as well, and this is very depressing for anybody out there. But then imagine that, there are bigger calamities for Indian occupied Kashmir at this
Oh,
very time, because
definitely,
this is the
yes.
52nd day that they have been in a continuous lockdown as well. And imagine that one of my friends, I happen to hail from there as well, and his father actually transferred him the money into his bank account for the next 5 years, sent him abroad, and said that, son, you really do not have to come back home because we do not know what's going to happen over here. So I believe that other than earthquakes and other than all of these natural calamities, these man-made calamities for Indian occupied Kashmir, and not just man-made, Indian-made calamity for Indian occupied Kashmir, ladies and gentlemen, is very heart-wrenching for everybody.
Absolutely.
Imagine for all of those parents who cannot really talk to their kids. Imagine all of the sisters who cannot call their brothers. So it's a complete lockdown. There's no internet
Definitely.
services. Nobody can call them. And nobody can even ask whether, Dad, you're doing fine or not.
I know,
and
right?
it is very sad.
It is definitely very sad. And Shazad, on Twitter and social media, hundreds of thousands of people are literally requesting, the godforsaken Modi to literally lift the the communications blockade over there, because of course people need to check up on their members as well. But the alarming situation that I'm looking at, a lot of people again are supporting his decision. How sad is that? This has literally come down to a point of humanity where you're not looking at Pakistan or India anymore. This is not political anymore. But you are all humans. You're literally looking at the atrocities being carried out on humans similar to you, but you're not raising your voice.
Exactly, and then at the same time, I know that I can get into trouble for that as well, but it's my personal opinion, ladies and gentlemen, and the speeches which were made by Mr. Trump and Mr. Modi. I didn't really like them quite
Same
a lot
here,
as
same,
well.
of course.
And I believe that it is about time that the Muslims all over the world really need to unite. And I'm definitely referring to UAE, I'm definitely referring to Saudi Arabia as well, and definitely for Muslims wherever they are
Yes.
on this globe, I believe that this is the time that we actually get together and let the world know that it's not the religion Islam which is actually making people go and do stuff which is not really good or terrorize other people. Because as a matter of fact, whenever there have been massive shootings within United States of America, they say, oh, the guy was crazy, or he had mental illness,
Yeah.
or there was something else. But as soon as somebody else with a Muslim name does that,
Yeah.
why does not the same rule actually applies on all of them as well? And I believe that Islam, ladies and gentlemen, we all are over here. Everybody's coming to Pakistan. You all know how hospitable our nation is. And you all know, I mean, recently, Sri Lankan team actually just landed. And I think that it's a great moment for Pakistan cricket and international cricket to get started, to get a jump start over here in Pakistan as well. They came in back in 2017 and now in 2019. And for all of these people to come into Pakistan, I believe that they've done a great job. And it's a message to the rest of the world that it's not the Muslims, it's not the Islamization, it's your own personal mindset. Whether you are
Absolutely.
sick and you go out and you do stuff like that, or probably somebody just derailed you. So it's not Islam, and we're not going to buy that.
Definitely. And Shahzad, it's actually another debate totally on a very diplomatic and political level. So, of course, it does infuriate both of us whenever
Yeah.
we start talking about it. But speaking of Islam, we both can agree, and everyone watching out there can agree, Islam is a religion of peace. I
Yes.
mean, definitely, you cannot make vague generalizations on the basis of some elements who are corrupt, let's say.
Exactly.
But generally speaking, Islam is definitely a religion of peace. And I happen to personally have met with people who have decided to take the path of Islam.
Yeah.
Earlier they were not, they have converted, and they are happily living with that. I mean, that is absolutely
Exactly, and
amazing
thank
to
you
look
very much
at.
for saying that, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever we speak about a Muslim, I believe that Muslim is the one who actually surrenders to the will of God. And once you enter into the religion of Islam, which is the religion of peace, ladies and
And
gentlemen, I
truth.
believe that it actually emancipates and gets you out of all of that corruption, all of those fraudulent things which you were doing. And other
Absolutely.
than that, there's this sense of calmness, there's this sense of serenity which you get, and then there's this sense of contentment. And
Absolutely.
once you surrender to the will of Allah, ladies and gentlemen, Allah looks after everything. You really do
Definitely.
not have to. And today, we're actually going to be introducing somebody to all of you who actually, by the age of 26, back in 1978, converted to Islam. How did his family reacted? How was it for him? And then till now, 2019, he's made sure that he's going to be an amazing Muslim, and he's going to inspire other people as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, with me today, I am very lucky that I've been joined by somebody who was actually earlier, before 1978, known as Frankly, but now his name is Mohsin Abdul Ghafoor. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Islam barakatuh.
Thank
I'm
you very
fine.
much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. I believe that this is one of the best days in my life that I actually get to interview somebody who's converted himself from one religion to the religion which is going to last forever, which is the religion of peace, and sends out a message of peace as well. But very frankly, there's the first question which I wanted to ask. The age when you were 26, that's the time when you chose to convert to Islam. That age is very fragile. That's
Yeah.
the time when you're very up and above, when you're
And
going and doing
distracted.
things and
Right.
whatnot. And people at this age do not really focus on their religious journeys.
Right.
So how did it come across?
Well, like I said, first of all, I like to thank you and thank you guys for having me here.
Thank
Our
you.
pleasure.
Well, my pursuit in my journey in my life, I took some different paths that didn't quite, serve me well.
Okay.
So I was pursuing something that would bring me peace, a sense of contentment. And so I went to, my mom, who was a religious woman, always told me, God is good, God will make a way. So that's what I turned to. And so as I found my pursuits and as I studied, like the Bible, there was, for us, the Torah, and then we have, like the Injil, that I saw that the message had changed somewhat. And so as I looked at that rationally, I couldn't quite reconcile, the difference that up until a certain prophet, everything was one God. You make no images, and then all of a
Right.
sudden, it changed. So as I look back into the scriptures, because my conversion was really, scriptural driven. So I went to and I read in the Bible, chapter 6, chapter 16, John verse 7. It kind of gave me my like direction, and it said that Jesus, I'm like paraphrasing. He said that there are many things that when he was speaking to his helpers, right, disciples, that you cannot take at this time. So then it is that I have to go away, because if I do not go away, then like the Comforter, he will not arrive, and that one will lead you into all truths, not some truths, but all the truths. So I took that as Jesus was pointing to something else or someone else, and
Right.
and basically from my studies, that someone else was like the dean of this great religion,
Wow.
um, and so here I am. So I took Shahada, and it's been the best decision I ever made like in my life.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing and inspiring for a lot
Yeah.
of people out there as well. We will definitely, continue with that conversation. We were having a great time with you. But you are the director coding and auditing for
Correct.
MTBC.
Correct.
That brings you here to Pakistan for the first time, if I'm not wrong.
That's correct.
All right, tell me your experience for Pakistan. How has it been? And also, please explain what coding and auditing is.
Okay, well, coding and auditing, it deals with like how doctors get paid, hospitals get paid, facilities get paid.
All right.
So, as a director, and I'm also like a teacher, so we have to teach like the rules and regs actually govern coding. You have on the one side, you have insurance carriers who actually pay the claims, and then like on the other side, you have those who actually offer the service.
Yeah.
Coding is the bridge that connects the two.
All right.
There are so many rules and regs that govern payments, okay, because we have over 10,000 codes that deal with problems. We have over 68,000 codes that deal with ICD-10. So
Okay.
all these diagnosis codes, CPT codes, whether it's radiology, pathology, hospital visits, et cetera, there's a large field, chemotherapy, dialysis. So all these particular services, then we have multiple picture service,
Okay.
doctor's office, nursing homes, ambulance, pharmacies, et cetera. So there's multiple rules and regs that governs each one. And so if you do not bill properly, then our job is to make sure that the claims go out correct, because what the insurance carriers have, they have built-in edits. And when you send your claims in, these built-in edits, then they're going to search for errors and discrepancies. So then therefore all the work that the provider rendered, right, rather than getting a check in the mail, he gets a denial. So
Oh,
then
right.
therefore our job is to do compliant and reimbursement coding. And so my job as director, and while I'm here, is that we have a great staff here, and I came like to train them, and it's been a great pleasure. We have
Exactly.
about 30 students or 30 team members, and we hold classes every day.
Well,
Right.
that's great. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, and I believe that I'm very proud of it as well, that the founder of MTBC was over here as well, and his wife was even over here as well. They're actually helping a lot of people, even out there as well. And over here in Pakistan, they've got a larger number of employees over here, and they're actually working day and night to make sure that their system runs freely and
Smoothly.
without any hindrance as well. But other than that, I think that it is very important for anybody or for any practicing Muslim to be at a greater position, because people definitely do take inspiration as well. But other than that, so the first 26 years of your life, and now the rest, quite a lot, alhamdulillah. And how do you think that being a practicing Muslim actually helped you survive and emerge as a great human being?
Well, yes. Well, I'd like to say one thing first. I brought my book here, and this, when I first started working for this company, and the gentleman that you just mentioned, Mr. Hawk, he made a statement, and I wrote it here, and I have it in quotations. And he says, "Do not be afraid to try something new. Do not be afraid to try new things." So his statement has really permeated throughout this company. And so we are a company that we are trying new things. We're trying to be on top of things, cutting edge.
Yeah.
So I thank him for setting that climate, and and having the confidence in me and brought me here.
Yeah.
And so here I'm on a TV interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, that is part of the dean because it led me here.
Yeah.
So then, as I said, there's a quote that says, "We plan, but God also plans."
Yeah.
Because
He's
I
the
couldn't have
best of
planned
planners,
this.
of
I couldn't have
course.
planned this
Yeah.
because I didn't know I was going to end up here. So with his confidence in me and my ability, like to train his staff and send me here, and everybody at that facility, they are like amazing. They treated me with care, with generosity, and in a sense, it makes you feel humble because of just the humanity of it.
Exactly.
And so to me, that's real time. So it's showing me true brotherhood, as it says, that we are one ummah. And to see that generosity, like in the kindness, and to welcome me in, and to be, attentive students, the other group. So it's really been things. So really, back to your point though, that has served me well because again, my pursuits and as I was sharing with you how I came to this point because I was trying to understand our book better, the Quran better, and I was looking at the similitudes. And I looked at the very first surah that was revealed and where it says, Khalaqa Isana and min Allah, that he made us from this congealed blood. So that in trying to understand that from a scientific point of view, it led me to medical terms, to anatomy, to physiology, and hence led me to coding. So really, the Quran led me here because I took that journey, and from that, one thing led to the next, and stage by stage, as Allah says, what He is Rabbil Alameen, that He takes us from one stage to the next stage. So then from that point of view, that's how I wound up, that's why I'm here.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah.
Yes, it is amazing.
It
And so,
is.
and I was just sharing with the team, like, how did I get here? So,
Well, it's
that's
great,
my story.
and it's great to listen to your story as well. And ladies and gentlemen, just before this answer, what Mohsin Saab actually said that when he came to Pakistan, he could and when he met other colleagues, they were very hospitable, and then they were very nice and kind as well. And I believe that these are the traits of every Muslim all over the globe as well, wherever we may exist. But other than that, very quickly, so we have 5 pillars of the religion Islam, right?
Correct.
Namely, it's Tawheed, and then it's Roza, and then it's Namaz, then it's Hajj, and then it's Zakat. So, as a Muslim, how many have you fulfilled so far, and how many do you strive to still long for?
Well, I felt 5. Of course, I took my Shahada.
Yeah.
Of course, I pray. I pay zakat. I've done Ramadan, and I've made the pilgrimage to Mecca. And so I've completed my 5 pillars because it says that Islam is built on 5.
Yeah.
And so all 5 is necessary for you to complete your faith.
Yeah.
So, but as a growing human being, we're always trying to improve. We're always trying to seek what God says excellence. There's always a better way. And so I'm trying, as I was telling you earlier, I'm still trying to learn, like my Arabic. And, that's my pursuit, as far as the grammar, because like the Arabic language is a beautiful language.
We can start here.
Right. So really, yes.
Well, that's great. And thank you very much for joining us. It was
Yes.
wonderful to have you.
Okay.
And please make sure that you continue to inspire others as well.
you so
Absolutely.
much.
And since you are in Pakistan for almost 10 days now, do make sure to try out biryani over here because
Okay.
that is one of the very famous items of Pakistan. Thank
Okay.
you so much for
Thanks so
coming.
Only if you think it's hygienic, only eat them.
Okay.
Yeah, no guarantee. We're not doing
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, right now we're heading out to a very short break. But when we come back, we are definitely talking about something so important and then dedicating this day towards that as well. Stay tuned to find out. Good morning.
Nations are led by competent leaders, but it's not the case all the time. Here he comes, the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. On so many occasions, Mr. Modi has embarrassed his own country, from awkward hugs to over-enthusiastic handshakes. From disrespecting state protocols to irritating smiles, from confused postures to idiotic exposures. On the other hand, Modi is desperately trying to overshadow this man.
Oh yeah. I want you to work it for me like this.
The Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, a former cricketer turned politician with a background of Oxford. Khan quickly made his name on the world stage as a true statesman. Unlike Modi, Khan enjoys a respectable reputation all around the world, with media always hanging around him. While Modi has to fake it all, Khan simply gets it all. When Khan was building a cancer hospital, Modi was busy massacring the Muslims of Gujarat. The way Khan is getting along with the world community is nerve-wracking for Modi. With the upcoming address of Khan at the UN General Assembly, where he is all set to expose India's grave human rights violations in Kashmir, Indian diplomatic shutdown is imminent. According to CJ Post, Modi has been instructed very firmly by the White House, no hugs, please. According to our sources, Melania Trump is trying hard to avoid even a handshake with Mr. Modi. The same Melania was seen excited to meet Khan during his recent visit to the U.S.
Welcome back to World This Morning with Shazad Khan and Shazza Hashmi, with a beautiful weather outside today in the Twin Cities. I don't know about other parts of the country, but well, we're having a great time over here. And okay, so we were going to talk about something important, remember? This week, we are observing World Retina Week just to spread awareness about the retina-related diseases, all sorts of eye diseases, how to live a life if you have any sort of visual impairment. And then also we have some people from this very amazing PFFB foundation over here in Pakistan who are helping people with any sort of visual impairment to lead their life in a normal way.
Exactly. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, so I kind of spent a lot of time last night to actually learn what retina actually does to us as well. So retina basically is a layer which protects the backside of your eye, and it's at the backside. And then when your lens actually focus onto something, so the light is actually converted into neural signals sent to your brain, and that's how you see it. Oh, I learned it.
Wow, that's
well,
amazing.
It's great. So this is
someone did their homework.
Yeah, and this is the best part I love about my job, that we actually get to learn about things every day as well. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, we know that how hard life can be if, God forbid, or unfortunately, you have some diseases which are related to your retina as well. You can lose your eyesight, and people can actually have these issues because of the fact that their parents had it or their grandparents had it, so it can be hereditary.
Right.
And then a few of them are actually acquired as well. But other than that, there are ways where we can actually protect our eyes. make them, I mean, we should actually ensure the health of our eyes as well, which we actually take them for granted as well. I've seen a lot of people who've actually been recommended by the doctors to wear spectacles. They don't do it because of the fact that they think that, they do not have this habit. But please make sure to stay healthy.
And look after
when we
your
talk
eyes.
about staying healthy, we talk about keeping each and every organ of your body healthy.
Absolutely. So I feel like we should definitely start introducing
All right,
our...
so ladies and gentlemen, today with us we have been joined by Chairman Pakistan Foundation, fighting blindness as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he's none other than Mr. Abdullah Yusuf. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam.
Also the former FBR chairman you are.
Yeah.
Ex-chairman
Yeah.
of BR also.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us. And these days, I don't know whether people are actually liking a lot of people in FBR or not. But yes, thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. Alongside Mr. Abdullah, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by Chief Coordinator PFFB. And this is not the first time that she's on the show. This is like second or the third time. She's none other than Rabel Pirzada. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm pretty good.
Yeah, and we
That's
can see that. Thank you very much for that amazing smile early in the morning. And alongside Rabel, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by an ophthalmologist himself, and he's none other than Dr. Shakib Anwar. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the first thing I would love to know is whether my definition of retina was correct or not.
You are almost absolutely correct, but let me put in a better
Yes,
way.
go ahead.
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's just a very short, in a very short way. Eye is like a camera,
Yep.
Okay.
and the front is the lens that we see the black circle in the eye,
Yep.
and the film in the camera, which used to be, is represented by retina.
Okay, that's great.
So the image falls on that film, which is a very thin layer, and it itself contains many layers, micro layers inside.
Okay.
So a picture forms there, which is upside down, and a very small picture.
Yeah.
Then it is transferred to the brain in the form of electric signals, and then brain deciphers it back into a picture, turns it straight,
So-
magnifies it,
Yeah.
and builds it.
So what you're trying to tell us is that the way we're looking right now is not the way the eye has actually seen it. So it's
Exactly.
upside down, and now the brain actually helps us in correcting it.
Exactly, and it's a very small picture.
Okay.
And brain builds it and brings it to the real size.
And it's in
Magnifies
real time
it.
as well. Just
Yeah,
when we
it's
look
real
at it,
time.
it's just there. So it's great, speed of
Yes.
light. But other than that, so let's talk about some of the diseases which are related to retina. I want you to elaborate upon the diseases which are hereditary, which are related to retina, and then the man can acquire because he or she can be in accidents or there can be other problems as well.
All right. So retina being a very integral part of the eye and probably the most important because all the picture is formed here, which is taken to the brain. So talking of the diseases, we can simply divide it into two types of disease. One is the surgical type of diseases in which we need operations, and then the medical types of diseases of the retina in which is treated by medication or some other means.
Okay.
Right? So surgical is very simple. It's because of usually some trauma or there are inbuilt weaknesses which ultimately at some time of at some stage of the age leads to the tearing or hole formation or detachment of the retina from its original place.
Oh,
and that
okay.
leads to the malfunction of this layer. So that needs surgery, and that's a complicated process done by specialized people. Now the medical side, there are so many diseases either we carry inherently in our blood. They are the hereditary eye diseases of the retina, and there's so many of them. And then there are diseases which we acquire during our life because of certain blood-borne infections or anything, or because of certain other extraneous factors or insults or injuries like radiations and all that, which lead to damage to the retina and of course the malfunction of this layer.
All right.
So one of the prototype, the two main diseases that we are here, one hereditary I would consider one disease, which is prototype, that is retinitis pigmentosa. It's a disease which leads to night blindness. In
And
a
it's very
simple
common
term.
as well.
Yeah.
It's quite common. It's the rate is 1 in 3 to 4,000 people.
All right.
And it is transmitted in 2-3 ways. One is sporadic, that it can occur anytime. 50% of the people, they don't have a family history.
Okay.
Then it is also transferred in a dominant fashion, in a recessive fashion, and in X-links. They are technical terms. But it has got grades and shades.
Okay.
in some people it's very severe and they go to blindness in early age, mid-20s or maybe up to 30s.
Okay.
And some people have a milder form of disease and they live with a quite good vision up to 60 years of age. So it has got shades and grades depending upon the genetic dose that the person gets.
That's great.
If it gets a bigger dose, so the disease is severe. If it gets a milder dose of those genes, the disease is mild. So this is one which is practically by medicine or surgery, practically it's supposed to be untreatable.
Okay.
But in the newer techniques, now we are developing certain chips or artificial retina patches which are implanted in the eye. Now the work is being done all over, especially in America, and they are being planted. And they are good for those people who are totally blind.
Okay.
And they have a crude vision with this.
All right, that's absolutely amazing, and we will keep learning from you throughout the show, of course. That is why you're here. But moving on to you, Rabil, you're a very brave and courageous girl, first of all. This is the first time I'm meeting you, and your energy, your vibe is absolutely contagious. It's so positive. So for all the viewers out there who don't know about you, you unfortunately met an accident which made you lose your vision. But that did not change your lifestyle, that did not change your approach towards anything. Tell us all about it, how you're living with it and how you're helping other people who are visually impaired to live with a positive attitude.
Actually, I'm not blind by birth. In the age of 12, I got an accident and I lost my vision.
Okay.
But I decided not to give up.
Wow.
And I want to do something that nothing is impossible in this world.
Absolutely.
So I have learned my journey and to collaborate with Pakistan Foundation Fighting Blindness. I have done Masters in English Literature.
Wow.
And I'm a first visually challenged girl in Multan who did Masters in English and moved as a personality groomer on international level.
That is amazing.
Before PTV Home made whole life journey on myself, and which name is Rabil, and it is available on YouTube.
Wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I am also first blind teacher in Biggin school system. And I'm a first visually challenged teacher who made lessons, video lessons for sighted peoples.
Wow.
And I'm a karate champion also.
Okay,
And
that's nice.
Is there anything you left behind?
But that's amazing, mashallah, mashallah. You're absolutely a full package over
And
here.
I'm a member of International Lions Club, and I'm a first side ambassador from Pakistan, and I'm a chairman of District 305
Wow.
and 1.
Wow.
So
I mean,
proud to hear that, because
that's quite a lot of jobs, man.
there's no stopping you.
Actually, I want to tell you something, that there are two types of blind people in this world.
Okay.
One, those who are blind by birth, and secondly, those who develop visual impairments later in their journey.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The person who are by birth blind to be seen more adaptive towards their conditions.
Yeah.
And they are using masters in Braille. But unfortunately, the person who are develop visual impairment later in their journey, they feel difficulty. And they have little time to cope with it.
Right.
And it's very difficult, and some of them face severe depression. And then our organization, Pakistan
Yes.
Foundation Fighting Blindness, try to grown up to
Okay.
build their confidence. And we have provided our services like Audio World. We have academic course 5th till Masters, and further education we have ebook services like Chartered Accountant, CSS, LLB, psychiatrist, and all and other things.
All right,
Exactly.
Rabil, that's amazing, but that is actually what I was going to ask Mr. Abdul over here. So, all right, PFFP, of course, is doing an amazing job. And like Rabil mentioned, I mean, you are imparting education of conventional sort up till masters, right? And then you're also giving vocational training to the people who are visually impaired so they can actually have an equal life in the society. Tell us about the response that you've been getting, the people that are enrolled with you, and share with us some success stories, please.
Thank you. Actually, as Rabil has just mentioned, this Pakistan Foundation Fighting Blindness is basically an NGO which is meant to provide service
Right.
to the blind people all over the country. And we actually, if we look back in history, it was in 1988 that the old friend of mine, Zair Khalid, who was also a chartered accountant, he actually started with the blindness. And that is how then he decided to get this organization or put up this organization for the blind people. And since then, of course, it is carried on. And I happened to be with him as the member of the body. But then, of course, unfortunately, he passed away. And then I have carried on to provide the required services. Because the NGOs, you know, what you have to do first is that you've got to have some money to run it.
Of course, of course.
That has to be then managed, and you've got to, you know, raise the funds, which mashallah we actually do every year, and actually are continuing managing the whole affairs. But now what we are basically trying to do is that all the people over the country, now first we have to see whatever we can do to educate them. Then we have to also try to give them that specialization
A
of
skill set.
skill sets, you know, of various kind of jobs,
Right.
so that you are able to get the jobs, because that also is very important.
Absolutely.
So then we have to try to also facilitate them for getting the jobs.
All right.
And that also is an issue which is in fact taken up with the government also, that you have to provide certain percentage of employment for the blind people.
Exactly.
All right.
And that also is something which is actually being managed. And this is how we are now ending up with a number of people who have actually gone through this process. And they are now running their own, you know,
Businesses or
business
jobs.
or job or whatever.
That's amazing.
And that is really, really, I think, an achievement, I
It
would
is.
say, and we are continuing with it. And I am especially grateful to Rabel, because she is really our real person who is managing this whole affair.
She's definitely.
She's
part
the
of
poster
Pakistan
child
as
of your
well.
organization for real, actually.
Yeah, but very quickly, sir, there's one more thing which I wanted to ask, and since you've taken up so many challenges, even with the government, there's one more thing which we have felt always, and me and Shiza, we've always discussed it on the show, that Pakistan actually lacks in developing infrastructure for people with disabilities. And that has been a major problem for a lot of people, even people who are actually wheelchair bound, people who cannot really see, people who cannot talk. They do not have access to these offices, and they do not have people who can attend to these people as well, who are specially able. Have you done anything in this respect?
Yeah, certainly. We have our office, and we have facilities all over the country created for this purpose.
Wow.
So they can then go and they can then get themselves, you know, treated, activated, because this is something which is a requirement which has to be done.
Definitely.
And mashallah, we are doing it. And Rabel, can you explain a bit more in detail your actual position?
Go ahead.
Okay. We are working for visually challenged person from last 30 years. And we are providing education, information technology, IT centers, and almost we have established more than 15 IT labs all over the country.
Oh, wow.
Brilliant.
And in 2016, we have started some new programs like personality grooming, which is covered topics are personal hygiene, dressing technique, table manners, postures and gestures, and how to build your confidence.
And that's great, and I guess that, you know, for all of those parents who are actually out there, that you really need to go and check the PFFB as well, because of the fact that I believe that they're actually doing a lot of work. For all of those people, imagine that, you know, God forbid, if you have a son or a daughter who cannot really see from a very younger age, they will have difficulty in probably going to the washroom or, you know, dressing themselves or doing normal house chores. And if there are these kind of services available, all I'm going to say is I'm very proud of this foundation.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much for helping blind people as well. But very quickly, because we're only left with last 2-3 minutes, I want to move on to Dr. Saab over here. So Dr. Saab, you know, for all of those people who are born normal, but then eventually they develop these diseases, how can they actually protect themselves in the first place? And then, God forbid, if it is on an increase because of the fact of that there's blood sugar level is high, hypertension, what do you think that they can do while they're at home? Because you have to act promptly.
Well, the most important disease which is of concern globally is because of the diabetes, and it is called diabetic retinopathy, right? And there's alarming figures actually that people by 2030 they are going to be about 399 million partially or substantially blinded by this disease, right? So now we see that diabetes is of two types. It's from the childhood and later
on,
right?
yes.
So both types. So what they can do for themselves is the diabetics. I would advise and I would suggest that the physicians who are treating diabetes, whether in the early pediatric age or later on, they must refer their patients during treatment to the ophthalmologist so that they can have a screening of their retina.
Exactly.
Any person who reports first for diabetes must get a screening. Any child with diabetes who is 12 years or above in puberty must get screening. Any diabetic adult who has 5 years or more of diabetes standing must get screening of their retina for diabetic retinopathy. Because early intervention in the disease, because what happens in diabetes in a very simple words that there are bleedings on the retina, the blood vessels are damaged, and that leads to a permanent damage to the vision.
Exactly.
So if you timely intervene and you treat them, the quality of life improves and goes a long way.
Exactly.
So there are different type of medications for them. There are laser treatments and there are alternative treatments. Whatever the eye surgeon or ophthalmologist feels, that can be instituted in time.
Amazing. That's very great as well. And just very quickly, so you mentioned that there has been an advancement in technology and that the IT professionals have actually developed a chip for the retina to replace the retina, and that can give you the sight back as well. How is that possible for people living in Pakistan, and how much do you think roughly it's going to cost?
Yeah, it's I will name it. It's a small chip which is called Argus 2 by the name of Argus 2 is the one which FDA has approved to be used in the human beings. Right. So this chip it's presently I don't know the exact price, but it is in millions of dollars. And it is at present it's not commercially available. It's still limited, and it's being done in certain centers. It's being tried on human beings only in certain prescribed centers of America.
But still, there's hope, right?
Yeah, there's a hope. There's a hope. They're moving on.
But there will be a day, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, one important thing is that there is this international body, the Retina International. And PFFB is also a member of that body, because at that international level, what they are trying to do is to do whatever research is required for this problem, and then try and come up with whatever solutions possible. Like this IT thing he has just mentioned is something that is being looked at globally.
Amazing.
And that is what will help us. So,
well, that's great, and best of luck to PFFB as well. And thank you very much, sir, for actually making us aware about all of these different problems and how to actually overcome that as well. Thank you very much, Rabil. Thank you very much, Abdullah Saab. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab as well. And for everybody who's out there, I believe that it's a good news. And both the segments, I loved it today. What about you?
I know, same here actually. So towards the end, ladies and gentlemen, if there's any damage that you need to report, or if there's anything you need to help people with in terms of the earthquake that happened yesterday, please reach out very quickly to the concerned authorities so that maybe you can be a part in, improving or saving any damage from happening.
Exactly. So
Write us on our Facebook page with the name of
Well This Morning.
On Twitter.
Well This Morning without a G.
YouTube and Daily Motion.
Well This Morning, Well This Morning.
And the repeat you can catch at
5 past 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.